I believe that Trump investors are consciously trying to cause a recession, or at least the appearance of a recession, so that the Federal Reserve becomes on their side and lowers the price of money and increases the quantity of money.
All right, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. To start with, could you please tell me your name and what you do?
My name is Arthur Hayes, and I am the CIO of Maelstrom, my family office. And we trade crypto, do early stage token investing, a bit of advisory, all around just crypto stuff.
Right, exactly. Okay, we'll get into Maelstrom in a little bit, but it would be remiss of me to not also talk about your past, which I started in 2017. So I've been hearing about you using your products for a while. I won't try to rehash a lot of things that you've said in other podcasts and public places, but I do have a couple questions. So first, the troll box for BitMEX was such a lively place. I thought it was a great idea to have. And I was wondering, how did that come about? Whose idea was it? I'd
So
love
I
to hear
think
the
the
story on that.
first real turbo box for crypto was BTCE. I don't know if you were around back then to trade on that
I
platform,
don't know that.
but it was a
No.
platform run by some Eastern European folks, and it was probably one of the earliest Bitcoin exchanges. And they had this troll box, and there's some pretty famous personalities who existed in that troll box. And of some, you may remember Fontis and some other traders, and it was like super degen, really raw, funny, emotional. And we thought, oh, well, it's actually, if you want to hang out on BTC, just to chat on the trollbacks and shoot the shit, it's great for creating engagement with customers. And then it's also great to understand how people are actually using the platform, because if someone has a problem, they're going to talk about it immediately in the troll box. And so we made it a core part of our platform to have free speech in the troll box. You say whatever you like, and me, Ben, and Sam, and the early employees were in that troll box all the time, answering questions, understanding what the clients want, so that we could build a better platform. So that was sort of the impetus for the troll box.
It was a great idea, and I agree. I was in there too. Always fun in there, especially during major market moves. It was just
Exactly.
cathartic when when the market was going down like it has been for the past, I don't know, 12 hours or so. Um, One more question about this. So BitMEX was founded by you and your co-founders in Hong Kong, right?
Yes.
And I presume that was because that's where you were based
Correct.
already, and that's where your co-founders were. Um, and it's obviously Hong Kong is a financial hub, and it was a burgeoning crypto hub. I wonder if if uh, if you were gonna start like a major crypto project today, like an exchange or something like that, would you still think that Hong Kong is kind of a central place to do it, or would you be looking at other cities?
No, I don't think Hong Kong is the same as it was back in 2014. I'd say, the probably the 1990, oh, maybe even the 80s and 70s, but Hong Kong was probably the only territory in the world that really practiced free markets. So a libertarian type government, even though it was a British colony and then handed over to the Chinese in 1997, it sort of had this long stretch of a very capitalist libertarian place. Obviously, that's changed a lot now. Hong Kong is 100% part of China, same system, all that sort of stuff, and
Yeah.
whatever you want to think about that, whether it's good or bad. But the similar sort of substrate that allowed us, Bitfinex, every single major Chinese exchange, FTX for good or for bad. We all started in Hong Kong for a reason, gateway to China, but plus sort of Western capital markets. And it's a very unique place. And I don't think that point in time is repeated at the current moment, because the situation is different right now. So I wouldn't start a business in right now in crypto in Hong Kong. It's not what it was back in 2014. Probably somewhere in, probably Middle East, South America, somewhere like that. Places that really want to, maybe Argentina, places that really want
Oh,
to
wow.
grow their economy, Obviously, you want to come in at a place where they're sort of at a changeover in terms of their ideology in economics. And that gives you that opportunity to really have the freedom to innovate permissionlessly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you have a very popular blog, and I've been reading it for a long time. I enjoy it a lot, immensely. You share your thoughts primarily about crypto and I would say macroeconomics. That seems to be the two kind of major topics on it. Could you tell me your process of how you write this? Is it more like it's just kind of a synthesis of everything that you consume, and then you kind of lay it out there, or do you go into the each blog with an idea or a theme and then research it? I was wondering kind of just your process for writing this.
So I probably have like a few buckets of stuff that I talk about. So on the first bucket, like trading stuff. So, I had a recent call, market's like 100, 110,000 Bitcoin. And I said, oh, we're going to go to 70,000. Right. And, we're playing that out for good or for bad, depending on your positioning as we speak. And that was more of a question, right? I obviously trade actively, or not trade actively. I have a portfolio. I'm the CIO of Maelstrom. I have to have a view on the markets. I'm not the one signing checks and doing the deals, but I, give direction to Akshat, who runs the investment book, about how slow or hard to push. How aggressive are we going to be? What type of deals do we want to do? So I need to have a macroeconomic view. And so sometimes it'll just be like, okay, well, the market's here. I see all, the sentiment in the market about why it's at a particular level. Is that discongruous with what I'm seeing in macroeconomics or some of the individuals that I read? And so I see a dichotomy, then I'm like, okay, well, do I believe it or not? And so I need to do some research. I need to have formulated an idea, and that's what sort of the writing is very cathartic in terms of answering a question. Okay, well, the market says, bull market, never go down, up only. These macro guys are saying the liquidity is exiting the system. Which one is it? I got to have a view. And so, the writing process is trying to argue why I believe a certain thing and back it up with evidence and logic, and then put it out there for everyone to critique on the internet and get feedback that way. So that's, sort of one situation. Another would be reaction, right? So I don't know, maybe there is a particular government policy or somebody famous in crypto says something and I don't agree with it. And it's getting a lot of attention and engagement. So I want to come out with my own opinion and back it up with why I believe a certain thing. And then on the other hand, it's okay, well, I have a position that maybe people don't agree with or are not really appreciating. So I need to argue why I think this particular crypto or shitcoin is going to go up in value in the future. And here's my sort of worldview that leads me to that conclusion. And again, the writing process is very cathartic in terms of being able to logically lay out arguments. And if I can't make them make sense in writing, then I shouldn't be putting my money in them in the first place.
How long does it usually take to write one of these?
Depends on the subject matter. It might take a day, it might take a week. Really depends.
Right. Gotcha. Um, Follow-up question. Who do you regularly read? I'm curious, like in macroeconomics
So
outside of
I
crypto.
I'm a firm believer in paying for excellent research. I don't think you get very many good things for free in this world. And obviously in this saturated world of information, very good curation is something that you pay for. And that's what I'm paying for. Very good curators of financial and political news. So Felix Zuloff, Zoltan Pozar, Russell Napier, Call Research, Jim Bianco, Danielle DiMartino Booth. Who else? Dan Oliver. Yeah, few names. NDR
Yeah.
Research, BCA Research. Yeah, I spent a lot of money on research.
Gotcha. Great. Um, I've noticed over the years that you tend to favor Pepe's as a cover image. Um, what's the story on that?
So obviously I'm not a Bitcoin maxi, but obviously it's my biggest bag, and I'm a firm believer in Bitcoin. And the rare Pepe NFT collection is one of the first sort of manifestations of this digital art on chain. I think they're extremely funny. They're witty. They're a bit offensive to some people. I own a lot of Pepe's, And so, I'm just shilling my bags and my art through my writing.
All right. Yeah, well, I'm a fan. Okay, let's move on to the present, right? So you are the CIO, as you stated earlier, of Maelstrom Fund. Um, can you please tell me a little bit more about the fund? You briefly covered the areas that the fund is active in. I would love a little more color on that.
So I obviously love trading. I love, markets. And so as, when I step down from BitMEX and, thinking about what I want to do, I want to do something pretty chill. I'm not trying to manage other people's money. I have a stack. And then the question is, okay, employing a few talented individuals, can us as a team outperform Bitcoin to a large extent, and to a smaller extent Ethereum? I'm sure the Solana people will say, well, you should get bought Solana, but whatever. uh, and so, okay, we're gonna go through this investment process. We're going to talk to people, we're going to make investments, but at the end of the day, is that better or worse than just hodling Bitcoin? So that's sort of the thesis behind Maelstrom, and that's sort of the task that I've given to the team. Is like, we're what's the point of us even doing this job if we can't beat the returns of Bitcoin? And what do we do? We do early stage investing. So we do small token deals in the $50 to $100,000 check range. That's sort of one bucket. And then we've had some standout success projects like EtherFi and Pendle and some other things. And
Athena.
Athena. Yeah. Well, you think we didn't invest, we're an advisor. We also have an advisory
Okay.
portion where primarily Akshay and his team and myself, we advise projects on tokenomics, on the markets, on how we think that they should develop their particular application. We're paid in, advisory tokens for that role. Obviously, our most successful project is Athena. And then on the liquid side, obviously we have a stash of money, and we take positions at our own risk in particular shitcoins, and try to time the market. We have a view on a particular project or types of projects based on our research, and we're going to bet our own capital and see how we do in the markets. And so those sort of the three buckets that Maelstrom operates in.
And are you personally focused on one of those buckets more than others?
I probably spend more time on the liquid portion than the others. I'm not the person going to conferences and meeting projects and getting in the weeds on exactly what they're doing. At a high level, I'll say, okay, I want you guys to put on more risk, or I want you guys to take less risk. I'm more focused on, okay, if I'm going to take a big position in a particular coin, what's my entry price, what's my exit price, those sorts of things. And then just concentrating on having a view on the macro. Like, we don't want to be telling teams to do TGE if we think that liquidity is going to wash out of the market. And it doesn't matter how good your project is if Bitcoin's at 70,000. I'm sorry. I really don't care what you're doing. Just hold on, chill out for a bit. The market will recover, and then we can advise, okay, everyone should go now, that sort of thing. So we want to have sort of an actual view to give value to the project that we invest in, and that we advise, versus, oh yeah, just go pay some centralized exchange a bunch of money, list your token, and watch it go down 95% in the next 6 months. Like, that's not what we want to do for our projects.
Right. Yeah. So on the liquid side, you do trading. You mentioned that you might trade on like maybe some illiquid coins like shit coins. How illiquid are we talking about here? Like how shitty are the coins? How
I mean,
shitty did the coins get?
I'll trade a $5 million market cap coin, but I'll size my position accordingly, right? So,
Right.
okay, I think
Yeah.
it could go up 1,000x, but if it goes down 75%, I don't really care. That sort of thing. Versus like a much more liquid, larger market cap coin, I'll take a bigger position because I don't expect to make as much money in percentage terms, but in actual, dollars, I'll make more money because I've just taken a massive, much bigger position, but I don't expect it to go down 75% in a day, that sort of thing. So it's always sizing accordingly. I like to think about it this way: whenever the market goes up, I want to wish I bought more. And whenever the market goes down, I want to be thankful that I didn't buy enough, buy more. So then I know I'm in the perfect sweet spot of size.
Yeah, no, that's great. You've obviously like Maelstrom has done well with some of the investments you've made, as you mentioned earlier, EtherFi and Pendle. Um, Looking forward, are there any kind of like sectors of crypto, uh, probably new sectors of crypto or narratives that you think are going to perform well in the, I don't know, 1 to 2 year time horizon?
I don't know right now. I think I had a conversation with Akshat a few weeks ago, and we're like, okay, what are we excited about? And not really anything right now. It's right now we're just focusing on the portfolio companies that we have, trying to provide value where we can, looking for opportunities to deploy our liquid capital in things that we understand well. But I have to say, like, new projects or verticals that are going to be coming online in the next 12 to 48 months, like, have no fucking idea. Uh, it'll be apparent what is going to be popping maybe later in the cycle or the next cycle, when that happens. But I would say that stuff's still too expensive. I think we're going to start seeing some religion coming to projects that, okay, well, there is this liquidity around for you to list a 5 billion market cap token and expect it to double, right? Okay, it'll go down 95% because there's just no one there to buy it. So maybe you should adjust your expectations and the size of your offering and the price. I don't think we're there yet. I think we need to see a few more, projects like Barachain and Monad and some of these massive projects just like completely obliterated in the markets. Not because it's a bad project, just because it's too fucking expensive. And so once we get back to, hey, let me launch a 10 million market cap FDV coin and let me have some real users and give some revenue back to clients and then watch this thing go up 1,000x. Yeah, when I see more stuff like that, then I'm like, okay, cool. I think the founders have gotten the message that the 2017 to 2024 VC private market sort of term sheet market has changed, and we're going to go back to more like a 2013 to 2017 ICO type situation. Both have pluses and minuses, but I just think that founders need to get little bit more religion on terms of the price, and then investors like us will be a little bit more excited about the project. I don't care how good your project is; if it's too expensive, it's too expensive. And so we're very focused on the price that we pay and the value that we get versus a lot of VC funds with LP capital. It's a bit different because they need to invest. Otherwise, they can't get the next fund. They can't show returns to their investors. I'm the only one that matters in this decision making process. And hey, if the market's not giving us opportunities, everybody go to the beach, go to the ski mountain. I don't give a fuck. I'll still pay your salaries, right? We only need we only need one Athena, and that might make the next 5 years for the fund. So it's not don't work stupid and lose my money. Work smart. Take a fucking vacation. I don't care.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was going to ask you about Barachain specifically, but you gave that answer. I thought it was telling. I think it was last week. Um, there was a tweet where Barachain, whatever developers basically kind of said, yeah, we've messed up the TGE, and we're trying to make it better now. Um, can you point to any? I mean, can you point to any projects that launched in 2024 that you think did this well, other than Hype? I mean, I think Hype is kind of like the poster child for like a good launch that got retail excited. Have you? I can't think of any others off the top of my head. I was
We
wondering
had a
if you had.
portfolio company, Alki Labs. It's still quite small market cap. They launched on Index first. It did quite well in the run up in terms of price performance. I think it 4x over from the TG to the high before it went down. Well, with everything else in this market route. But yeah, I think it's we see with founders, they still have this mindset. Oh my God, I need to have the Binance or the OK or the Huobi or whatever, listing, and I'm gonna just do whatever they tell me to do. I'm gonna pay them a bunch of money, and if they say go next Tuesday, I'm going next Tuesday, irrespective of whether that makes sense for my project or not. Again, I guess we just need to see more bear chains, more of the most hyped projects getting completely slaughtered in the markets for founders to realize, It's not a, your token's irrelevant. Like you can't sell it, the investors can't sell it. So why are we playing this game that we need to have these really highly inflated prices that only go down after they list? And then the retail person looks at that chart and like, why would I buy that? Irrespective of whether your project's good or not, they look at a fucking, destruction in that chart and like, I don't want to own this thing. Let me go buy fucking Ripple and Cardano, pieces of shit. But at least they've gone up over time.
Very, very true. Okay. I wanna talk about, so one more question. You mentioned earlier that you don't go to conferences. Um, I was wondering if that means you think conferences aren't worth going to, really, or is there value in going to conferences in your
No,
mind?
I mean, I go to a few conferences, right? I obviously speak at Toka 2049, Korea Blockchain Week, some other of the bigger conferences. So, and from my perspective, our clients are, we need to have good relationship with other VC funds. We need to have good relationships with new and upcoming projects. It's a very, very small set of people. And I want to understand what other investors think. I mean, I'm not the one going to all the panels and all that kind of stuff. So that's the youngins who are going around and meeting people and saying, okay, here's what I feel about the markets. Here's the sentiment. Here's the vibe. That's what that's what they're going there for. I think a lot of people, and I love to party, but I'm already rich. So fuck it. It doesn't matter. We'll throw a party. I'll have a good time. But if you're like
I was
building,
gonna ask about that.
if you're going to build, if you're building a project, like when I was back in the BitMEX days, like unless the conferences in Hong Kong are pretty close, I didn't really go to that many conferences. I figured out really quickly it's a fucking completely waste of your time and your money because you have other things to do. Create user value, create product market fit is not found at a fucking conference. And I don't know if, me and my founders, we did was it the web summit? We paid $10,000. I don't know how much it was. Complete waste of money for some booth to sit there and like talk about Bitcoin in 2020, 2014 when nobody wanted to hear that shit. Waste of our time, waste of our money. We should have just, got a hotel room and did some more work. Um, yeah, go party at the conference when you've when you're crushing it, and you got billions of dollars of revenue or millions of MAU. Like fucking yeah, party like a rock star. But like, oh no, I need to go to the conference and meet people for what? Your fucking thing isn't launched. Why are you at the conference? So I think most people need to understand what they're going there for. Don't use me as an example because yeah, we're a fucking venture capital fund with one client, me, and I want to go have a party. So I'm gonna have a party.
Yeah, I was gonna say though, your parties are fairly well known at conferences, and so um, is do you do that just because, as you say, you love to party, or is it also like kind of a, I don't know, a way of advertising, marketing thing?
Yeah,
Both.
absolutely. It's marketing, it's advertising. It helps us condense meetings, right? So like, you go to a conference, pick a city, there's traffic going this way and that way. Well, obviously have a big party. And if you want to come talk to us, come a bit early before we all get fucked up and let's have a chat. And we get way more value and we condense so many more meetings into this one particular avenue and people talk about it, right? Because at the end of the day, this is an engagement game. This is a marketing game, especially for a fund. I want to tell you what I'm doing, and maybe you're going to believe it or not, but at least you're going to think about it. You're going to talk about the projects for good or for bad. That's what we're there for. It's a completely different business model than sort of a project who has a thing that they're selling or service they're selling. Are you really going to sell that service to somebody who's fucked up at the club? I don't think so. So again, don't use me as examples of why you need to go to a conference. If you want to come to my party, please come to my party. It's going to be fucking lit. But I'm not really sure that if the whole management team is out there getting, fucking drunk, that's really the most effective use of your time.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I always joke with some of my coworkers when we're covering conferences, and I see some elaborate booth from a company that I've never heard of before, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I just don't think this is a good use of their money at this point. But yeah, all right. Two more questions. The second to last question is about just macro in general. Where do you think we are in the cycle? Obviously, today, a lot of fear on the timeline. Markets aren't doing well. So again, just where do you think we are? Are we still in a bull cycle? Are we near the
I, I,
end?
I absolutely still believe we're in a bull cycle. Obviously, the bull cycle has been a lot more concentrated in Bitcoin versus a lot of the other altcoin sphere. And at the end of the day, right now, we are experiencing a lull in liquidity fiat money generation. In the United States, obviously, I believe that Trump investors are consciously trying to cause a recession, or at least the appearance of a recession, so that the Federal Reserve becomes on their side and lowers the price of money and increases the quantity of money. And also, if you think about it, right, regardless of whether you think, the political side of things, if there's a lot of fraudulent payments within the system and you want to get rid of those before you move higher, you can clean up the dead weight. And obviously, that's going to have an economic impact. They're okay with it because they're doing it in the beginning of their administration versus, in 2026 before the elections. Oh no, let's go reform the entire government. The voting population is going to be very skeptical of that and say, oh, that's Trump's fault, that's Veson's fault, that's Elon's fault, versus there's probably a way that they can spin this as this is Biden's fault, this is the Democrats' fault. Again, whether or not you believe that doesn't really matter, but the markets, they're cleaning out the dead wood, and then they're going to reflate and they're going to print more money than probably anyone's ever printed before. You move over to the EU, right? I don't know if the Greens are going to come on side with the ruling parties in Germany to do this, constitutional fuckery to allow them to print as much money as possible to build weapons and rebuild their army. But if they don't do it this way, they'll do it another way. The sentiment is there. Europe wants to rearm, ostensibly to fight Russia, but they just want to spend more money at the end of the day. And so if it doesn't happen now, it'll happen later. They want to reflate. It might not happen in the next week to save your leverage long position in whatever you own, but that's coming at least within the next 2 to 3 years. China is just waiting. They're going to have some sort of agreement with the US and the rest of the world on how they want to reshape the global economy. Could be good or could be bad. I don't know what it is. But once that agreement, or, fuck you, we're just going to go our separate ways, whatever that is, they're going to reflate as well. So they're waiting in the sidelines. And then you have Japan, where the BOJ is trying to raise rates. We'll see if they get there or not. But at the end of the day, they're not trying to add more liquidity into the system. So you have the four major blocks, either trying a bit of austerity to clean up the dead wood, or in the process of reflating their economies. And we're in this period where we expected all this, you know, policy goodness, and Trump's going to do this and do that. And you might end up doing these things, but at the end of the day, it was liquidity negative. And so now we're seeing the markets finally react to that. I think in the third, fourth quarter of this year, through 2028, we're gonna have a massive money printing situation, right? America first, my nation first is inflationary. I need to rebuild every single part of my supply chain within my country to give jobs to people because they're losing them to robotics and AI, and to have resiliency in my defense space. That's massively inflationary. There's not enough private capital to fund it. They're going to print the money. And then you have essentially declining population and this sort of robotics AI thing. How that plays out, I don't know, but politicians need votes. And so they're going to print money to make sure that people feel okay. Well, the economic system, and maybe whatever humanity is in and of itself, changes as well. Again, massively amounts of money printed. And then you have to service all the debt that they took off from COVID into the present. The US pretty much doubled the debt in existence, and every other country printed money as well. So again, this is a short term pain. We're clearing out the dead wood. We had a great run from 20,000 to 110 on Bitcoin, essentially, FTX lows until, Trump coin. And now we're having a 30% correction. It's pretty normal for a bull market. So I think, yes, people might have had a little bit too much leverage. Maybe they bought too many shit coins, but I think we're going to clear out all that dead wood. And I still believe that we could be 250,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. Does that mean that the particular shitcoin you own is going to be 100x higher? I probably not, because people are getting a little bit more discerning in the type of things that they own. But at least from Bitcoin perspective and the overall market capitalization of crypto, I think we're going to be much higher by the end of the year than we are today.
Great. Yeah. So, what? So let me guess the first signs that you would be looking for. Would the first signs of this be actual money printing, like if the U.S. government starts to do QE again,
So I
starts to
think first
buy.
what's going to happen is, let's say we go to 70,000 or whatever it is. We need to see S&P at like below 4,000. Um, 20,
Wow.
30% correction in the NASDAQ, something like that. Because at the end of the day, the US government needs the stock market to go up to make their finances. That's what the game is about. And so we're not going to see anyone fail or any financial stress until that shakes out. And there's going to probably be some bond market things and some currency things. Something's going to happen. I don't know where it's going to happen. We didn't. Could you have predicted that Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank and they were going to go bust within 2 weeks of each other? Probably not. Wasn't what you were thinking was going to be the cause of the bank term funding program and $4 trillion of spending that pumped Bitcoin up 5x from that point. I don't know what the thing is going to be, but I tell you what, S&P down 30%, the 10-year could go to 2% or it could go to 5%. Which one of those moves, somebody's going fucking bankrupt. And the
Yeah,
Fed's going to come
yeah.
in, systemic collapse, Sunday night. Oh my God. And it might not, maybe it won't be straight up QE. Maybe it's first, we're going to end QT, or we're going to give the supplemental leverage ratio, or, there's some arcane thing of the Federal Reserve Act that allows them to print some money and give it to somebody. And then, okay, then it's go time. And then I know, okay, there's a religion. Then I know China's going to come next. Okay, PBOC, let's go. Then Europe's going to go, okay, we're going to print some bonds so that we can go fight Russia and lose. Okay, boom, there you go. And then it's time to go. And then, so, I think Bitcoin is going to bottom before equities. And then if equities are really stressing or the bond market's stressing, Bitcoin is going to start outperforming because it's going to say, okay, now we know the response. When there's financial distress, they always print money. It doesn't matter what the political leanings, left, right, center, print money. This is the system that we're in. We need the stress. We know what the response is. Survive the stress, profit from the response. And so that's our goal as crypto investors.
So it sounds like the signs will be very overt, and it almost sounds like you're suggesting that there's a high likelihood of a V shape recovery, like it'll go down and then the
We
response
won't
will
be
come
decent. I
out.
mean, it's not looking to go. We're going to go to 70,000. All of a sudden, there's a Sunday night emergency Fed meeting, and they're back at 110 on Monday. No, like you're going to know. Like when the bank term funding program happened on a Sunday night, and Treasury
Yeah,
and Secretary
exactly.
Yellen came out and said, "Okay, we're creating this new program."
Right.
Bitcoin rallied at 2 or 3%, but it went up 5x over the next year and a bit.
Okay.
So like you have
Okay.
time. There's no reason to try to catch a knife. Okay, I didn't get the super liquidation wick on my particular asset, crypto asset of choice. Don't try to hit that. Wait for them to tell you when it's time to buy. And they'll tell you exactly when it's time to buy. You might miss out on the first 10% or 15%, but you'll get the next 5x without losing 50% of your stack trying to figure out when they're going to start printing the money. They're going to tell you when to print the money. And then you know what to do.
Very good. All right. Thank you. So I want to end on something a little fun for me. I know that you enjoy skiing, I believe. It's skiing, not snowboarding, correct?
Skiing, yes.
Yeah. Why is that, by the way? Why skiing over snowboarding?
I mean, my parents started me skiing at 3. I love skiing. I'm good at it. I think it's a little bit more forgiving on the body than being, your feet strapped to a board and your body turned sideways. So I know I'm a bit,
Okay.
and
All right,
I
cool.
like traversing and backcountry, and I can get into it. Fuck
Yeah, yeah,
snowboards.
okay. All right. So, oh no, I'm a snowboarder. Okay, so I know you like skiing, and I know you like skiing in Japan, right? I
Yes,
think that you go to Hokkaido, and it looks like you do some pretty extreme stuff up there, like heli skiing. It looks like, yeah.
I do heli in other places, but mostly touring.
Okay.
So I hike up the mountain and ski down in the
Yeah.
backcountry.
Okay. So I live in Japan, and a lot of my friends are huge skiers, snowboarders, and they do a lot of crazy stuff, and they have some wild stories of like near misses and I don't know, just gnarly stuff. And I was wondering if you could share with me any kind of uh, scrappy situation you've gotten into
I
while
mean,
doing these kind of.
luckily, my guide is very good, so we haven't gotten into anything crazy yet. But I think last season I was out in UNI. I don't know if you've been to the cat skiing operation out there in Hokkaido,
I haven't.
and in one of the back bowls. it's a very big bowl. Everybody does their own thing, and I'm, coming to the ski out to where the cat is. I don't know. I was a little bit absent-minded, thinking about something else, and all of a sudden, this like massive crack appears in the snow, and luckily, I had enough speed, and like it was a split second, I just jumped, and then almost like did a long jump to the other bank, and made it without fucking falling in the crack and breaking my leg. That was probably the diciest thing that I've been in recent memory.
Good Lord. Did it make a sound? The crack, like when it formed?
Well, no, it
Did
was
you
just
hear
there. You
something?
couldn't see it. It was
Oh,
pretty
oh,
flat.
okay.
So
I see.
you're
I
skiing
see. I see.
along, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, it looks like a crack. And then you just fucking just go as fast as you can and jump.
I see. I see. I see. Yeah, yeah. No, I don't do anything wild like that. I'm pretty risk averse for snowboarding or snow sports, but I do really enjoy it. Anyway, thank you so much, Arthur Hayes. I appreciate it. I have been a longtime fan. It's pretty wild to be able to talk to you, actually. So I really appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me.